All right, Campers Inn team, here is the July monthly message 2024. So I have several notes. It's been a busy month, few weeks, whatever you want to call it. And I feel like I'm going to be missing a lot of things that could be talked about on this message, but these are my notes that I've been keeping since the last one. So what's the market look like overall? What are we seeing out there? Because obviously the last one we had some straight talk about what we were having to do and adjust and adapt as a company. So the markets looked really similar to what we talked about last time. June was a tough month. July actually has started out a whole lot better, but June did end up being a tough month for a lot of the dealerships. And we're seeing that there is a lot of demand out there, like people looking online, people interested, but fewer of them are converting into leads and coming to the stores. And I'll kind of go through some of those numbers in a little bit. But in spite of a tough market, we're doing well relative to the market. What do I mean by that? So the May stats come out, and I've talked about market share a little bit. And so the May market share stats came out just a few days ago. And they're always about 6 weeks delayed, all the market share stats. And we took market share in almost every category other than Class A's in May. So we took it in travel trailers, fifth wheels, B's, C's, but not Class A's and diesels. So as an organization, we're actually doing better than the market most months. And May was a good month for us overall there. What we are seeing, though, is that we're missing some of the market share at the entry-level price point, that let's call it $10,000 to $25,000 price point segment, and we're adjusting some of our inventory and marketing strategy and our pricing strategy to go after that particular segment, which is a good segment to go after. So it does seem like that's a segment of the business that we can improve on, and we're focusing on, as well as just adjusting overall. And so how we're doing it, well, there's a lot of different things we're doing. We're looking at individual units, and we're making sure that the leads are coming in on individual units and adjusting if they're not. We're looking at our pricing strategies relative to the market. We're looking at what we're stocking for this part of the year, and we're really looking at driving that particular segment of the market. We launched some new advertising campaigns, and I've kind of talked about some of the marketing strategies and how we've been changing up. Well, we're starting to get the results in more and more, and there's some positivity going on there. So happy to see that our web traffic year over year in June was actually up over 80% year over year. And where we're working on is converting that web traffic into more leads. Our leads were actually down just a few percent year over year. So we're driving a lot more people to the site. We're seeing a lot of interest in RVing, which is great news. And now we're figuring out how do we convert those into more customers online, in our stores, that sort of thing. So our marketing efforts are starting to pay off, and we're figuring out how to take more and more advantage of them all the time. So a lot of that stuff we've been talking about for, I think, since the beginning of the year, we're starting to see some of more and more of the fruits of that over time. We're also utilizing a new ad source with a new company. And we're targeting customers a lot more specifically, and without going into all the nerdy details, just know we're targeting customers to a level that we don't think anybody else is doing in the industry, which is why I don't want to go into all the nitty-gritty details, but we're doing a really good job targeting very specifically to known RVers out there. And last month that drove over 500 store visits from those particular customers. So we're tracking, we're identifying and saying, yep, those particular ads drove 500 of them into our stores, and it's at a relatively low cost compared to some of our other lead sources, so that's been really good. On the inventory side, so like I talked about, we've been focusing on inventory quite a bit, adjusting to the market. So whenever the market changes as much as it has, right, first quarter was actually relatively good, second quarter was kind of a miss for us, and we're looking forward to a bounce in the third quarter, but we've had to adjust our inventory. So sales team knows big focus on consignments right now because we want to make sure that we bring in as much of that used as possible. The used market seems to be the most stable segment that we play in, so we want to see as much of that used, and consignments is a great way to do that. We're also focusing on the inventory on aged inventory. So compared to most dealers out there, I mean, 22s are almost non-existent in our company. Yes, there's a couple here and there left, but it's basically non-existent. So we're focusing on our 23s, which that has become a smaller and smaller percentage of our total inventory. And obviously the 25s are now coming out with the 24s just this month. Just this month we're starting to see some of the 25s on the towable side. So we're cleaning up our aged. We're making sure that we're focusing on both the aged on the used side and the new side, cleaning that up, decreasing our overall inventory level, because those that have been in this industry know typically you build up your inventory going into season. So somewhere around February, March, April, you kind of hit your peak inventory, and then you pare it back just a little bit over time all the way through roughly open house, September, October timeframe, and then you start building it back up. So we are in that point where seasonally speaking, we're pulling the inventory back like we always do, plus we're pulling it back a little bit further than that because of the market conditions. So most dealers are in the exact same boat as us. Talk to some banks, talk to some other dealers, and we're all kind of looking at it the same way. The motorized business, we've noticed, is tougher than some of the other segments. So we're adjusting our inventory and our stocking on the motorized accordingly to get our inventory in line with the sales pace. So that's kind of what we're doing on the inventory side. On the sales side, we're outperforming the market, but we have a lot of work to do because when the market changes, we have to adjust. On the service side, service continues to find ways to ring the retail cash register. So ring the register on more retail work, helping out those customers, because even though we're finding a lot of customers are delaying the purchasing cycle, there's still plenty of customers buying, but there's some that are delaying that purchase, that trade in. What that means is that there's a lot of customers out there that are using their RVs where campgrounds are still at near their peaks, that their all-time peaks. So service is still out there. So we're finding ways to make sure we get in front of those customers, bring in the retail customer. Speaking of service, I want to congratulate Russ Underberg, Cameron Brooks for some of the expanded role that they have. So some of you may have seen them traveling to your stores, and you either haven't seen them before or haven't seen them in a while, and they have expanded roles in Georgia, Alabama, and Midwest, for example. So congratulations to those guys on their expanded roles on the service side. Speaking of expanded roles, since this last message, we actually brought on something called an HRBP, which is an HR business partner. The idea long-term on the HR side is that her name's Stacy, so before I forget, so Stacy came on board, and the idea of HRBP's long-term is that we provide more support to our frontline employees and managers throughout their whole life cycle. So what does that mean? Like helping them out with just all the different things that happen over an employee's life cycle. Could be reviews, career progression, just helping especially those managers manage the teams and have more HR support. So we are looking forward to growing the HRBP team as things improve for the overall business, but we are committed to providing more support for our teams right now, and Stacy's been jumping in both feet, getting a lot of stuff done, so excited about that. Speaking of kind of an HR related topic-ish, so one of the things that we experienced with the 4th of July holiday was I had some teammates reach out on some of their some comments about, hey, as a company, why don't we have one standard on whether or not we're open for sales or closed on the different holidays? Because the handbook says that we can be open or closed on those holidays, and then if we're open, there's like floaters and different things that happen. So anyway, heard the comments from the team, the leadership team, and I, the VPs and I, we got together, we talked about this, and we said, look, let's all just do one standard. So if we're going to be open on a holiday, we'll be open. If we're going to be closed, we're going to be closed. So our intention is each year in January to basically let the whole team know which days will be open and closed, and then for which teammates, and if we're open, what does that mean for like a floater or some other alternative on that side. So we heard you loud and clear. We heard that the inconsistency amongst the stores, because most of the stores were actually open the 4th of July for Campers Inn, and when I say Campers Inn, I mean all the different Campers Inn stores, Little Dealer, Capital RV, Dillon's, all of the stores. We were actually open, and now I guess Airstream of Southern New England. Most of the stores were open on the 4th of July, but some of the stores weren't, and there was some confusion that went on there. So early warning, we're going to be open. The sales departments will be open for Labor Day. So that will happen this year. We'll be open for Labor Day. The other holidays later on in the year, like Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's, those will be closed. But we'll be more transparent going forward. We'll put the whole company on the same program so that we don't have any more confusion in that regard. So, and then also help planning, because we'll have that kind of schedule out there beginning of the year each year. On the fun side, on kind of exciting side, so most of you know that we have we have some NASCAR partnerships. Once again, the NASCAR partnerships are in-kind sorts of stuff. So we let them borrow RVs, and in return for borrowing RVs that they typically get to borrow 1 or 2 years, depends on the contract or whatever, we get different stuff. Like we're on some cars, we get I'm drawing a blank because I didn't write it down, but we're on some cars. We get other sorts of social media, other sorts of marketing, remarketing activities. So there's a bunch of different things that we get for our NASCAR sponsorships. Well, anyway, so those of you that know, last season, Ben Rhodes did pretty well in the Truck Series. He actually won one of the races. And what's really cool is, so PlayStation's coming out with, or not PlayStation, whoever creates a PlayStation, the NASCAR game, they're doing a new one next year in 2025. And Ben Rhodes' car will actually feature our brand, the Campers Inn brand, because that's the one he won with. So it's kind of something fun and that we get for our in-kind trades, right? So we let them borrow RVs for the different partners. We get different things in return, and now we get to be in a PlayStation video game. So it's kind of cool little stuff. So overall, the message that I sent off months ago, which talked about just like the focus areas, like let's keep on focusing on the Campers Inn system of activities in all of our stores. We got to do it our way. That remains. And then the other piece that remains is if you can figure out ways to save some dollars. Our industry, we cycle, right? We cycle up and down. So right now, I haven't hit it. We're on a down cycle, right? So if you can think of ways that you can help save your store money, or if you work at the headquarters, let one of the managers know. We're all ears. And then on the other token, if you can figure out ways that you're like, hey, I have a really good idea how to ring that cash register in my department or for my store, or whatever, bring those ideas up. Those are the most important things right now in this environment. So our focus areas for the year haven't really changed. We're keeping those very consistent. And overall, one of the messages I gave to the sales team a couple weeks ago was have fun. We are in a fun business. We sell vehicles, we sell mediums that allow people to go out there and have fun with family, friends, their loved ones. And so we got to remember that our customers can sense whether or not we're still having fun in the RV business. And I get it. It's not as easy as it was maybe a couple years ago. Now on the service side, those guys and gals might be saying, man, it was hard to get parts and everything else. I hear you. Sales side has been a little bit more difficult. But just remember to maintain as light an attitude as you can with our customers and each other and have fun, because that's why most of us chose to be in this business versus another business, is that we're in the recreation business. It is different. So even in spite of all the challenges, we're in a great industry. Campers Inn's best days are ahead of us, right? So you'll continue to see us do well, beat the market, grow over the long term. But don't forget that you probably joined this business, probably most of you joined it because this is an alternative to maybe a less fun sort of industry and business. So that's it. That's the message for July. Like I said at the beginning, I feel like I forgot some really important stuff to talk about this month, but it is what it is. Maybe I'll put out one later July or August and cover what I missed. So anyway, with that being said, let's finish up the season strong, the middle part of the summer strong. Let's finish up the summer strong for all the teams and go from there. Thanks, everybody.